Welcome to the Lincoln Parish Museum and Historical Society's Sounds Like Edison with Lawrence Gibbs and Museum Director Rick Godley. Each episode, Lawrence Gibbs will choose a song from the Lincoln Parish Museum's Edison collection of records, share some historical facts and information, as well as play each record on the original 1912 Edison Phonograph in the parlor of the Lincoln Parish Museum. Now sit back and enjoy the sounds from our time machine, a 1912 Edison A-250 Model Phonograph. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for episode number 3 of Sounds Like Edison with Lawrence Gibbs. I'm Rick Godley. We're in the parlor of the Lincoln Parish Museum, and we are going through an awakening, I guess, and I call it the Second Renaissance. We've been closed for about 3 years, and we want to get up, running, and become relevant here to Lincoln Parish. This is the sesquicentennial of Lincoln Parish, and we have a lot of treasures in this house. And by the way, we do thank you so much for all of your support. Also, if you would be so kind, we have a YouTube. That's what you're watching us on. If you would subscribe for this content and future content that we create here at the Lincoln Parish Museum and Historical Society, please do that. And then, secondly, if you would email me, Lincoln Parish Museum 1886 at gmail.com. Again, Lincoln Parish Museum at gmail.com. So when we get our newsletters out, and we also get our letters of information that we're having events here, I'd like to be able to do that quickly and fluidly. Lawrence, the first 2 episodes, in my opinion, went very, very well, and the feedback,
well, great, exceptional.
Well,
that's what we're looking for, finding new material, at least new to us, new to me, and it's been a very, very exciting part of my day, just to be able to do a little research and see what do we have here when we discovered.
Well, let's briefly touch on that, because this could be someone's first episode. And by the way, new to you, we all started this, everything old is new again. And back in June, upstairs, I went upstairs, Lawrence came on by, he noticed what this piece of furniture was. I had no clue. He said, "Oh my God," and I said, "What is it?" And what is it?
It ended up being an Edison phonograph, a diamond disc phonograph, which is, they had Edison cylinder recordings, very few still exist, but now we have the Cadillac of their pride and joy, I guess, and it is just amazing to find. You don't find very many of them. I think there were around 1,800 that were made worldwide during the years around 1912-13, somewhere around that time. I think it came to this house somewhere in the mid-teens, from what Billy said. So anyway, that's where we are, and we're just trying to discover some of the 168 discs that we discovered here, and it's been an amazing thing.
Before we proceed with episode number 3, I do believe the song Lawrence has chosen is Bye Bye Blackbird.
Yes, Bye Bye Blackbird.
Well, we had an open house not too long ago, and the weather was atrocious, the power went out, everything was done to keep us from having a great time. Everybody had a great time, and the DJ du jour for the evening was Lawrence playing this 1912 Edison, right. And nobody said, "Turn that music down."
No. And we had a packed room. I looked up and I was kind of shocked to see, and everybody was just milling all over this place. And it got to where the music, there was so much crowd involvement that they were tickled to hear this thing, but you couldn't hear it very often. All of a sudden I went, okay, this is not that loud. We're not disturbing anybody. But now here we are in the quietude of the place, and it'll be plenty loud for us.
Sure enough. All right, so Bye Bye Blackbird. Give us some of the research on this and why you chose this.
Okay. Well, one of it just seemed to be the one. It was one of the first ones that I found when I just picked up one, Bye Bye Blackbird. Well, that's an old song. I really did not know much about why it was recorded or why it was written. And a gentleman named Ray Henderson in 1926 He was one of those Tin Pan Alley composers, piano pounders like George Gershwin was. He wrote hundreds of tunes. He had 3 major hits that year, and one was Alabama Bound, 5'2", Eyes of Blue, and this song. By Blackbird, it's a feel-good song. It's basically pack up all my care and woe, here I go singing low, bye-bye Blackbird. It was basically wishing all of the bad stuff away. Now this was before 1929 crash, but people always had ups and downs. This song was a simple little song, easy to sing, and a lot of people just fell in love with it as soon as they heard it. This was one of the first recordings of it. It was the first one by Edison, one of the first ones that required a fuller orchestra. Edison decided that in about the mid-20s, he knew that he was a little long in the tooth to be selecting what music was played or recorded at his studios, because if it was done that, all he would want is hymns, and he would want feel-good songs that touch the heart and all of that kind of thing. But his son Charles made him understand that if you want to stay in business, you better get on board with what's called the hot foxtrots.
Oh, the hot foxtrots.
Yes. And so
Is Bye-Bye a hot foxtrot?
Not quite as hot as the next one I'm going to play.
Okay.
But it is an uplifting song, and it was recorded using one of the important Broadway stars during the time, in vaudeville especially. His name is B.A. Rolfe, and he was famous in silent pictures. He was an actor. He was a childhood trumpet virtuoso when he was very young. That's how he got on into vaudeville with his family. And just a brilliant talent, extremely smart man. So what he did is he got involved in all aspects of entertainment during that time. And in 1920, he formed his first orchestra. And they did most of their work. Everybody had to have kind of a home base. And there was a Chinese-American restaurant called the Palais d'Or. I think that's how you say it. It might be all wrong. I surely have no idea. And in 1926, he writes this song. And in producing it and getting it famous, he showed it to the public at one of their concerts and dances. It's one of those places where you would come to eat in the fanciest of settings. And I don't know that it even still exists, but it might. But back in the day, people would dress up and they would go have a Chinese-American meal, and they would dance all night long to this orchestra. He used the finest Broadway musicians that played in the pit orchestras of shows and things like that. You had all the music schools, and they were constantly looking for ways to employ their graduates. And so a lot of those people ended up being in this particular orchestra. He did know good talent. He was he was actually compared to Paul Whiteman in that day, and he really knew Paul Whiteman and really could appreciate what Paul Whiteman's orchestra had done, and he was a version of that, not as popular. But he recorded exclusively for Edison from 1926 to 1929, and that's over 200 selections that he recorded for Edison in that studio. Before we listen to it, I was going to give it. It's always good when people can focus in on what they're listening to and what to listen for.
Right.
When I was at Louisiana Tech, I was able to teach music caprice classes and things like that. It was always fun to me to give them okay, here are some things for you to notice when you listen. Maybe the crowd will like that. What it is these arrangements, it is not, we really don't know if B.A. Rolfe did these arrangements or had someone. He probably had someone do these arrangements. But they were played as the page would have them. They were truly played properly. So it first opens up with a nice, what we call a good ensemble opening, and that is where most everybody's playing together. the important sounds of the melody of the tune. After that, the second time through, BA and the band decide to sing, or they are told to sing. So anyway, you'll hear BA, which is, I don't know how well he'd make it on We've Got Talent or any of that stuff, but anyway, he sings and the band helps him out. You'll hear.
All right.
And then after that, we have the tenor sax comes back with the melody of the song that you all know. And in the background, along with the saxophones, they're going kind of crazy, and he's got his trumpet virtuoso chorus is there. And he's playing muted trumpet very high and millions of notes. And he obviously was a very good player. After that, you have the full, what we call the out chorus. See you later, we're going out of here. And
well, it seems like a whole lot of arranging is going on within a 3-minute and 15-second song. Are we going to have
3 minutes and 50 seconds.
3 minutes and 50 seconds. So
that's one of the good things about the Edison records. They would go longer than the Victor and the Columbia, which had about a 3-minute, 15-second plus.
Well, let's enjoy Bye Bye Blackbird from the parlor of the Lincoln Parish Museum. Episode number 3, Sounds Like Edison, Lawrence Gibbs and Rick Godley. By the way, no electricity being used. So no carbon dating or carbon taxing right there?
No. Here we go. cold in here.
Bye-bye Blackbird from the parlor of the Lincoln Parish Museum. Sounds like Edison. This is episode number 3. Lawrence Gibbs, Rick Godley with you. Before we get into what happened there, Lawrence, you had to rewind it, and rewind has a whole different connotation or denotation from rewinding as we know it. But before I let this thought get away, you had briefed me prior to the show that the not is it saxophone or cornetus?
Yeah.
Give us the Louis Armstrong. Is that in this song?
No. Well.
Or is that the next song?
No, that's it. That's associated with this man here.
Touch on that tangent.
B.A. Rolfe, because he was well known at that time and has been totally forgotten for many years. Trumpet, and then he was friends with Louis Armstrong early on when Louis Armstrong was trying to develop his higher range. And it is written in some of the stuff online where that B.A. Rolfe, I think, just gave him some leading ideas and things to help him strengthen his lips or whatever it is, so that he had the high range that you want to have when you play. It gives you more expression and stuff. He obviously could do that.
Sure. Another thing, I could hear the banjo in there, and speaking of music appreciation, when I say I heard the percussion, but I didn't hear drums. Is drums in there as drums as I would know them, or as
not as they
was
were
more
very
Tin Pan Alley.
Yeah, it was cymbals. Most of them were because the recording techniques, anything that had like a bass drum hit would just destroy the recording. It was too much for the thing to handle. So most of the times they had boxes and stuff hang, and a lot of times if they had them, they would take their mallets and they'd play on the boxes.
Gotcha.
And they even did that into the 1930s. And so until recording technology got to where it could handle what music was really, that's what they had to do. But it's just amazing. And Edison only allowed 3 takes in his studio. He named them A, B, and C, and most of them are C.
Oh, really?
And that was C. And so that was the 3rd time through that they recorded. They had you start and you stop. There's no fixing anything, and so it's brave musicians. That's a nerve-wracking thing to sit down and have to do something.
Yeah, you don't want to make a mistake at 3 minutes and 40 seconds into the takes. Sounds like Edison with Lawrence Gibbs. I'm Rick Godley. We're in the Lincoln Parish Museum. One final note, pun intended, on this song. Your notes here say that song ubiquitous in the sense that it's covered from Eddie Cantor to John Coltrane.
Oh, yes. The song became, in the 1950s, John Coltrane put it on one of the albums just because he liked the chord changes and whoever was in his group at that time. And it became a very, very popular selection on one of his albums. And so, hey, if it's good, it's good. It lasts forever.
Sure.
And so...
Sounds like Edison. Rick Godley, Lawrence Gibbs, the Lincoln Parish Museum. If you would be so kind, a couple of things. Make any kind of comments you want. Send in any questions you have for Lawrence as we will continue these episodes of Sounds Like Edison. The email is lincolnparishmuseum1886@gmail.com. Lincoln Parish Museum 1886@gmail.com. If you would go there, sign up, or just let me know so I can keep you abreast and apprised of future events, of future episodes, of future whatever, as we are in now the second renaissance of this Lincoln Parish Museum, place and space, and also on the YouTube. Just subscribe. It's totally free. You'll get notifications of future episodes, not only of Sounds Like Edison, but other content that we're going to create here as we create a remarkable future. Lawrence, thanks for your time.
Glad to do it. Glad to.
See you next episode on Sounds Like Edison. Thank you for watching the Lincoln Parish Museum and Historical Society's Sounds Like Edison with Lawrence Gibbs and Museum Director Rick Godley. Keep in mind, we're a nonprofit organization and we welcome your ideas, suggestions, as well as financial support to sustain our efforts to create a remarkable future as we embark on our second renaissance. Our address is 609 North Vienna Street, Ruston, Louisiana, 71270. Kindly follow us on Facebook to keep connected for future events, exhibits, and educational opportunities about Lincoln Parish. Sounds Like Edison is a Godley Works production.